The government just blew $2 billion of our taxpayer money on this in Miami. Check it out. There's this transportation project that's been dragging on for almost 30 years. That's 3 whole decades using our money to fund it. Now that it's finally finished, they're saying, oh, it's going to cost too much money to use, so we're not going to. Seriously? So now it's just sitting there, abandoned. This kind of stuff really fires me up because it's yet another case of government wasting our money with zero accountability. Let me show you what's going on. It all starts with Amtrak, you know, the company with all the trains. Did you know the government owns Amtrak? Now, I didn't know that. It started back in 1970 when Congress created Amtrak to take over most of the intercity passenger rail services in the United States. So before that, private companies ran all the trains, but they started losing money when cars, highways, and planes became more popular. The private railroads couldn't keep up, so the government stepped in, created Amtrak, and started pouring billions of our taxpayer dollars into keeping the trains running. Now, let's talk about Miami. There's this big project called the Miami Intermodal Center, or MIC for short, because the word intermodal just sounds stupid. Okay, the whole idea was to build a massive transportation hub near Miami International Airport, where trains, buses, and rental cars could all connect in one spot. Sounds like a great idea, right? Well, part of this $2 billion project was building a brand new Amtrak station. They spent $88 million just on the station itself. And after that, the Florida Department of Transportation threw in another $5.6 million to fix the roads and crossings so Amtrak trains could fit. And guess what? After all that time and money, Amtrak decided they're not even going to use this station. They said it would cost too much to operate. So now this station is just sitting there, brand new, but completely empty. 3 decades of work and it's not being used. So how does a project take almost 30 years, cost billions of dollars, and then end up abandoned? It boils down to poor planning, bad management, and a complete lack of accountability. First off, the Amtrak station wasn't designed properly. When the plans were made, they didn't account for the fact that the Amtrak trains are longer than the space available at the station. That's a pretty basic oversight, right? Because of this, the Florida Department of Transportation had to spend that extra $5.6 million fixing roads and crossings just to make it work. And even after all that, Amtrak decided it was too expensive to operate the station and bailed. And let's not ignore the delays. This project was supposed to be done years ago, but it kept getting pushed back because of issues like design flaws and construction holdups. So by the time it finally finished, the costs had ballooned so much that it wasn't worth using. But get this, nobody's being held responsible for this mess. The money is spent, the station's built, and it's just sitting there empty. That's what happens when there's no accountability. Projects like this are doomed to fail from the start because no one's making sure they're staying on track. Now let's compare that to something incredible, the Empire State Building. Back in 1930, during the Great Depression,
different kinds of people, but it really made a serious effect on the economy. And that was the attitude, very, very positive towards the future, very positive towards America, very positive towards business.
They built that entire skyscraper in just 410 days. That's barely over a year. And it became one of the most iconic buildings in the world. They used private money to pay for it, and because people's own money was on the line, they made sure to get it done on time and without wasting a bunch of cash. Meanwhile, Amtrak's Miami station has been dragging on for 3 decades with billions spent and nothing to show for it because politicians spend money like it will never run out because it's not their money. If that doesn't scream mismanagement, I don't know what does. And why is the government even running a business like Amtrak? Is it because they're good at it? No. Amtrak has been losing money for decades, relying on over $2 billion annually from taxpayers just to keep going. And don't forget, Congress has gotten us into debt by over $36 trillion. So we all know they were terrible at managing money. So why would this be any different? Here's 2 more examples of the government wasting our money. Before that, check out this view. The Biden administration completely botched this one, proving they have no business handling our money. Back in 2021, the government rolled out this big plan to bring high-speed internet to areas that needed it the most, which sounds like a great idea. The price tag, a whopping $42.5 billion. That's a ton of money, right? But here's what's crazy. So far, they haven't connected a single person. Zero. Not one. They've spent all this time and money, and there's literally nothing to show for it. And then there's the plan for electric vehicle charging stations. That same year, as part of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the government set aside $7.5 billion to build 500,000 EV charging stations by 2030. Sounds like a solid idea, but here's the reality. As of January 2025, they've built 17. Yep, 17 stations out of 500,000. So at this rate, it would take them another 88,000 years to complete the project. So where's all that money going? It's another case of big promises and no follow through. In the real world, if a business can't provide a great service and make money, it goes bankrupt. But the government, they don't play by those rules. Instead, they just raise taxes or print more money. And you know what that does? It makes the dollar worth less and drives up inflation. That's why the price of everyday stuff like eggs, milk, and bread keep going up. But how do other countries handle their rail systems? Well, here's the truth. They're way ahead of us. While we're over here wasting billions on projects that never even get used, countries like Japan and Switzerland have figured this whole train thing out. First up, Japan. They got the bullet train, and it's famous for being clean, reliable, and insanely efficient. It operates at speeds up to 200 miles per hour, and these trains are run by private companies, but the government invests heavily in the infrastructure to support them. And get this, delays are measured in seconds, not hours, seconds. They focus on high demand routes, making the whole system profitable and super convenient. People actually want to use it because it works. Then there's Switzerland. If you've ever been there, you know their trains are next level. They connect even the smallest towns to major cities, and they always run on time. The government subsidizes the system heavily, but here's the difference. It benefits everyone. It's affordable, reliable, and easy to use. It's not just about moving people, it's about making the whole country more connected and efficient. Now, imagine if our government could make Amtrak trains that clean, on time, and efficient. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad, and I wouldn't be so upset if our tax dollars went to a service that actually provided a real benefit to the American taxpayer. But that's far from what's happening. In fact, just recently, Amtrak left around 110 passengers stranded at the Washington Union Station. The train left while the gate to the platform was still closed, so nobody could get on. So they all missed the train. Now, Amtrak apologized and offered refunds, but come on, this is basic stuff. These other countries treat rail systems like they're essential, because they are. They invest where it matters, make sure things actually work, and hold people accountable. Meanwhile, we got projects like the Miami station sitting there collecting dust. So it makes me wonder, if they can do it, why can't we? Now I want to get to the big question. Should Amtrak be privatized? Because let's face it, the way it's working right now isn't cutting it. The government owns Amtrak, runs it kind of like a business, but keeps pumping money into it to keep it afloat. Now let's look at the alternative, Brightline, a private rail system in Florida that's shown what's possible when efficiency and customer satisfaction are prioritized. They built their system in just a few years compared to Amtrak's decades of delays. They use private funding, not taxpayer dollars, and they run a clean, modern operation with trains that people actually want to ride. So why can Brightline do it while Amtrak can't? The answer is accountability. If Brightline doesn't deliver, they lose money and go out of business. It's simple as that. Privatizing Amtrak could bring that same level of accountability to the table. Private companies are motivated to make a profit, which means they have to keep costs down, service up, and customers happy. Plus, they can bring in innovative ideas and adapt quickly to what people need. When the government runs a business, it's bogged down by bureaucracy, inefficiency, and zero urgency to improve. Just look at that Miami station. That's what happens when no one's held responsible. Now, I'm not saying privatization is a magic solution, but we've got to try something different. The current system is broken. If private companies can deliver better service without wasting taxpayer dollars, why not let them take the lead? It's not about giving a up on trains. It's about giving them a chance to actually succeed. Because what we're doing right now clearly isn't working, and taxpayers like you and me deserve better. And I hate to say this, but this isn't even the biggest problem Miami's dealing with right now. In this next video, I'll show you why Miami is sinking and the hidden dangers right now that no one's talking about. Click here to watch, and I'll see you there.